The Chasm. This story is for anyone out there who've had a really tough life, who've had whatever it may be, that found themselves, as I have, multiple times across my life that led me to healing, inside chasms of depression, of pain, of challenge, of which any recovery seemed impossible. But what's kind of cool, well, I won't spoil it. Without further ado, this is actually inspired by the movie Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, which is worth seeing again, especially for this point of it, where in the movie there is a chasm by which only myths and legends has anyone ever escaped. Otherwise, for the rest of us, it's impossible. Once you fall down there, that's it for life. There's no hope, no future. Forget it. The first one to fall was someone known as Bane. Except he became motivated by vengeance, by an skewed sense of justice. And ledge by ledge, he got stronger and stronger and stronger, till somehow he was able to escape. But one small problem. He came out of his depression, his pain, his chasm, as a supervillain. A short while later, Bruce Wayne falls into that same pit, same circumstance. And at first he finds it impossible. There is no recovery from this. There is no, quick fix for this. Stuck. But he's motivated instead from a place of peace, of balanced justice, as much as possible. Not to justify anything else that happens in the movies, of course. But from a place of peace, he finds the next ledge he can possibly get to, and trains and trains and trains until he can get to that. Sees the next ledge that he misses shortly, and trains and trains and trains until he can also get to that. And in this way, he gets higher and higher up this chasm. Each time he falls, the pain becoming worse, but no greater than his own determination to never give up, and his own, let's say, combat of wellness. And he makes it out. But because he was motivated from a place of peace, he came out a superhero. And the moral of the story is that, yes, no matter how deep of a chasm we fall into, no matter how many times, and no matter how much we judge ourselves based on what we used to be or what someone else can do, we can overcome the chasms of life. And more importantly, to remind ourselves, to motivate us with the right heart, the right place of mind. You can see this in people in the gym. For weightlifters, if you're not making the funny face at the end, you're not going to see that many gains. It's a simplistic way of looking at failure, but you'll find it turns out to be true. If someone's just like, they're probably not going to see a lot of gains if they're going for sculpting and hypertrophy and so on. But while you'll see, so while that is important, you'll see some guys at the gym who look like they're the most angry person on earth. And it's good they have that as an outlet. But even for weightlifting, using anger can be helpful to get to the gym. But more often than not, it might create foundations and layers to that same anger, where they can find it harder and harder to understand or have patience for others outside of them, especially in a world where some are too sensitive and others are also becoming too uncaring, a dangerous mix. The balance in life of being too hard or too soft, tai and chi, of being too progressive or too redacted, depends on our ability to keep our hearts and minds coming from a more peaceful point of view, where we recognize that it's not up to us to take up arms against our fellow Americans or our fellow people. It's not up to us to cast judgment on other religions or people or whatever it is, besides, of course, the law. It's up to us to do the best within ourselves, our communities, and what little but important effects we can have across the world. Realizing that how easy it actually can be to buy into concepts of anger and fear. Bane took the easier path. Testosterone and anger and fear gives a lot of power to our muscles, but makes our minds corrupted, and is more likely to turn our best of intentions into cautionary tales like stress and anger does so well. It's easy to throw a fist. It's easy to attack someone. It's easy to get triggered. It takes more strength. It takes more heart. And it's much more important for us to be willing, to dare, to listen, to be quicker to listen than to act, to work on our own centers and improvement so that we can take a more leveled approach at communicating, to end silly campaigns of not tolerating intolerance. Itself is intolerance. Recognizing that someone else's intolerance is probably based on experiences they've had, or a mistake of repetition of data being accepted as evidence, which it is not. Intolerance is not our enemy, it's a symptom. And the more we approach other symptoms with our own, the more chaotic this world will become. So ultimately, the moral of this story is that regardless of the pains and the struggles that you're going through, keep your center from a pure place. You don't need to fight or destroy others to survive. For your people, for your community, for yourself. You just need to keep growing, to keep swimming, to keep getting better at this tough thing called healing, listening. And then one day, only in that way, can we find a world peace worth our dreams. But if we approach world peace from a place of control and bigotry and not tolerating intolerance and other things that are nonsensical, then we could head towards a world peace that's more oppressive than it is enlightening. Good luck.